Washington, D.C. If you guys live in the area, you can catch us on radio at 105.5 FM and 1390 AM. We are also in Kansas City at 102.9 FM and 104.7 FM. If you guys are digging what Shane and I are putting down, whatever platform you're consuming this content on, give us a like and share that audio or video. If you want to join in on the conversation, you can do so with a chat, a tweet, and of course, you can reach us by phone at 202-521-1320. That is 202-521-1320. Your engagement helps make this show what it is, so definitely don't be shy. I called it a while ago. I called it a while ago because it made sense a while ago that logically, if you were looking at it and you didn't believe in this kind of magical fairy dust stuff, that Joe Biden, his time as FDR, as he was going to call it, or this attempt at being a new, fake, neoliberal FDR, that this experiment is over. And this experiment has been over for a while. And they've been pretending as if this experiment has been continuing. This experiment is over. There is no way to be FDR without being actually FDR. FDR is not just theater. It's not just a name. It's not just, oh, this is just letters. It's a moniker. No. There were policies that went along with that. There was a ferocity that went along with that. There was this notion that America had hit the skids and all powers at the disposal of the president. You have nothing to fear but fear itself. Most people have probably known those words. They don't know where those words came from. They came from FDR. He acted as if the country was under an alien attack, and he used everything in his powers, even some things that were beyond his powers, to try to deal with that particular situation, including putting, 40 million Americans to work, Social Security. He was phenomenal. And for whatever his ills, not to mention beating back, assisting in the beating back of the Nazis. But I hope you get my point. Powerful president. What did he say? I thrive off of their hatred. This was the guy who he was talking about. He wasn't screaming, let's be bipartisan. Let's be bipartisan, everybody. That wasn't the argument. The argument was America is needing things. It's under assault. It's the Great Depression has damaged this country, and we need to do something about it. So 600,000 Americans go up in flames as a direct result of the actions of the U.S. government. Now, you can make an argument that Donald Trump was in office. I would say that's less relevant in the fact that it was the U.S. government that was directly responsible to hundreds of thousands of those lives. 33 million people infected with a virus. Again, if due diligence had been taken, that number would not be that stark. Those people are going to have medical bills, and you have a disproportionate share of those people that are going to be of Hispanic or African-American persuasion, because many of those people had to be out there still continuing to do their jobs, especially jobs in the low-end areas. So what do we do for these people? How do we get back to business as usual after 33 million people were infected with the virus? And keep in mind, many of these people, like a third, have lingering symptoms that go into months, long-term conditions, cognitive symptoms, debilitating in some respects. This was an effect of the country itself. And so when Joe Biden comes in and people are saying, FDR, 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 that's what they're saying. They're whispering, FDR, he's the new FDR. And it's like, so wait, he's trying to be FDR without being FDR? Yes, that's exactly what he's trying to do. Okay, well, let's see if he's going to work. Let's see if that experiment is going to be successful. Joe Biden comes out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to legalize marijuana, or at the very least, change the scheduling so people aren't going to jail for marijuana. That's what I'm going to do. I'm Joe Biden. There's going to be some kind of student debt relief. I'm going to put out a public option. No, I would veto Medicare for all if it came up. However, I'm on board for a public option. We need to extend and expand Obamacare. The PRO Act, yes. Unions build America. Unions build America. And of course, the $15 minimum wage. The canary in the coal mine, if you're paying attention, is the $15 an hour minimum wage. You have a president. The president gets in office. The president has the capacity to get something accomplished. The president has a willing House of Democrats willing to get it accomplished. And the president needs to do two major things, or one or two things. Kick out the parliamentarian, which he has the power to do. Use Kamala Harris as the 51st vote, which again, he has the power to do. And either get Joe Manchin in line or use his powers in the bully pulpit to eat Joe Manchin alive. The fact of the matter is the overwhelming majority of the public agrees with the $15 an hour. And is Joe Manchin really going to stand there and fight a president that just won, that they're screaming has a mandate? Is that what Joe Manchin is going to do? No, I don't think Joe Manchin would do that. I think fact of the matter is Biden does have the power, did have the power to either get Manchin in line. And then you have this other option of the filibuster in and of itself. That if you're not willing to get rid of the filibuster, then there's a clear question about how you're planning on getting anything done with 51 votes. That's the crux of this. The moment that Joe Biden wasn't willing to push through the $15 an hour, something that would have affected millions. Think about the number of households. Biden went through this campaign screaming, this is a starvation wage. Even on the debate stage with Donald Trump, this is a starvation wage. And these heroes should not be at home starving. What happened to the $15 an hour minimum wage, Joe Biden? I get that you say it's a starvation wage, but when you had the power to keep those people from starving, those heroes from starving, what did you do? You dropped it to the wayside. All of the other Democrats dropped it to the wayside, even those progressives, and they walked off. Now, listen to this. Senate Democrats are unlikely to try to use the fiscal 2021 budget reconciliation package to put together another reconciliation package, according to three sources close to the issue. Because they weren't willing to get rid of the filibuster, they were going to try to get rid of some of their plans through budget reconciliation. Not anymore. Right here. They're saying that they can't get themselves together enough to come up with a package by the end of the fiscal year. And because of that, they're basically going to punt on get anything else done this year and going to focus on 2022. It's a wrap. This experiment is over. I have no idea how Joe Biden thought he was going to get anything accomplished if he wasn't willing to use his powers to do it. Let's end it. Shane?
It's silly. I mean, but okay, so you've been talking about this. We've been talking about the FDR comparisons.
Hate it.
But they've been relatively new. The idea that Biden would come in and be a revolutionary wasn't actually the big thing that people were expecting immediately after he won. It's within the past month and a half, maybe, that these comparisons have started to be made, pushing these sweeping bills through. Never mind the fact that the one bill it's actually gone through was about par for the course. It was one, and it was about par for the course with what Trump got through last year. So
and what Trump was trying to get through that Nancy Pelosi blocked, if you remember.
Yeah, at every turn. Yeah. And it's not for Trump even. It's just the state of affairs, and it's an accurate comparison with what Biden has done so far. And then the two that he's pushing for, nothing's happening. As far as I can tell.
How does he
negotiations
get infrastructure through? How do you do that? Republicans are like, Biden gave 500 million or billion or whatever like that. And they said, yeah, we're further apart now. It's like, what? He takes off $500 billion and you say, yeah, we're farther away. You get closer to me and yet we're farther away. What kind of weird paradox is that? The point is, they don't plan, like all of this is just Obama stuff again. We're gonna talk to you. We're gonna talk to you. We're gonna talk to you. We're gonna talk to you till we're blue in the face. And no, none of us are gonna vote for this watered down bill that you just passed. That's what's gonna happen on infrastructure. And going forward, you think to yourself, how do you get past anything else?
Now here's the thing: is this just going to be the Democrats blaming the Republicans for stopping them at every turn in a couple of years?
This is. Let's be very clear. This is the Democrats. They have the House, they have the Senate, and they have the presidency, and they have the power. They could have gotten rid of the filibuster. Republicans were.
So are those arguments going to fly? That's where I would go. Are those going to work?
Look, Democrats are going to scream that, oh, there was something going on that prevented Biden. Of course they're going to scream that. Why wouldn't they scream that?
And do you think the media is just going to echo it back? Just say the exact same thing to the public?
Yes, now they will, yes.
Yeah, now they will.
Because of the way the Republican Party and Trump have been, yes.
Yeah.
Now they will. And that's unfortunate.
And because Trump is the expected candidate for 2024, it's not like the media has any reason to change its tune.
Trump is going to be in a jumpsuit before 2024. I'm almost convinced. I've been looking at.
I don't think so.
So the problem is the way that the Republican Party has been running. They've gotten so into this mindset of, like, I was showing you the story from Wisconsin where they were like basically saying, okay, we're going to have our inspector look into this to see if there's fraud. You have the Arizona thing going on. You have dogma at this point that the election wasn't legit with what? Almost a majority of Republicans thinking that.
How does that mean that Trump is going to be in a spacesuit?
Because Democrats are looking at this with a certain level of hysterics already. And with the notion that Donald Trump is going to win or that Republicans take the House and this notion of the politics can take him out, I think it's going to freak them out.
You think the Democrats looking at how Republicans are acting are like, whoa, we got to push for prosecution. Yes. We're going to overly politicize this, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't think they're doing it in this kind of like, hey, we're going to get together and talk about it. No, but I do think the people who are involved, I think it gives them a certain level of oomph. Let's say it that way.
Think about that for a second.
I'm not saying it's great.
Yeah, let's think about this for a second. From the Republican perspective, what's going on here? They had an election that was overthrown against Trump. They're pushing for oversight, transparency. They look at the Democrats. The Democrats are pushing back against it at every turn, fixated on January 6th, focused on getting this commission through, which would obviously be politicized. And then they put Trump in prison. And they
I don't know if it's obviously been politicized.
What'd you say?
Well, yes, it's obviously been politicized. But that commission, like, this is, again.
Where does that go for the Republicans? Do you think that Trump is going to be the worst figure they come up with, worst in whatever air quotes? Do you think that Trump is going to be the epitome of Trumpiness? Is he going to be the most hardline Republican if this is what the Democrats do? Can you think of how freaking failing of a strategy this would be by the Democrats? How much they would be setting themselves up for failure in a couple of years? This constant cycle of them being a party that's dominant, oppressive, using their power to suppress the opposition, and then they complain about how Trump is bad for democracy.
Suppressing opposition.
I'm sorry, Jamarl.
I don't think they're suppressing opposition. I think, look, if anything, honestly, what should be done is that they pass the bill dealing with election integrity. That's what should be done. And there should be integrity, transparency within the context of the elections. But just because Republicans are screaming, we're looking for transparency, doesn't mean that that's what they're doing in a functional way in which those things are being enacted in regards to the law.
Integrity for one is suppression for another. I don't see how we get onto the other side of this.
But it's not. There's a reality to it, right? I mean, that's why we bring people on sometimes to say, all right, we're bringing this person on because we're trying to figure out what's true. Yeah, there's a reality to it. So let's do this. You guys are listening to Fault Lines with Thomas and Stranahan. We will be back with an interesting conversation on U.S.-China relations. Back in a moment.
Fault Lines.
You're listening